So students, I hope you can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today basically what I'm going to discuss to you, the main thing that I'm going to discuss to you is how CDMA works. Okay. So basically this is what we are going to revise, how CDMA works. Then we are going to discuss with regards to that working of CDMA some more things. Okay. So uh, can anyone tell me uh, how CDMA works? What are the working of CDMA? Code division multiple access. Anyone? Okay. Not to waste time, then I'll only revise it with you. So basically what we have is there are some stations. Okay. Let me draw it for you. There are some stations. So suppose there is station A, station B, and there's a receiver. So station A and B are the senders. So they will have a data part. So each station will have a data part and some key to encode the data. Okay. Similarly, station B will have a data and a key. So whenever they want to transmit, they will encode. This key is nothing but some code. Okay. Some unique code is provided to each station to encode their data. So the encoding is done by each station in the following manner. Suppose this AK stands for the encoded data, then you will be finding the encoded data by finding the dot product like this, D into K. So this D of the data of A, and when you take the dot product with the key of A, you will get some encoded value. Similarly, you will find the encoded data for transmission from station B. Okay. I'm doing this part a little fast because we have already done this. So this is just revision. Okay. So you find the encoded part of uh, data for station B by finding the dot product of the data of station B and the key of station B. So once you get the encoded data, you superimpose these signals. You superimpose the signal AK and BK. So how you superimpose this? You add them. So suppose you add them like this: C equal to AK plus BK. So what you will do is you have got the encoded data here of station A. This is the encoded data of station A, encoded data of station B. You superimpose both of them on top of each other and you get one signal C. So this signal C will be transmitted to the receiver. Okay. So you basically are going to superimpose all the station signals on top of each other and transmit it as one signal. So what is the advantage of doing all of this? Can anyone tell me what is the advantage of superimposing all the different signals from different stations and sending it as one signal? What will be the advantage? When you compare it to FDMA or TDMA, what's the advantage of superimposing the signals and sending as one signal?
Collision will not be happening.
Uh, yeah, no collision as such. Yeah, and basically the advantage will be you will be using one frequency, right? You'll be using one frequency to transmit multiple signals. Multiple users can communicate at the same time, right? You can have multiple stations that can be sending the data at the same time. Okay, yeah, that's what Yash has written, that multiple nodes can access the data at the same time. Okay, that is the main reason of superimposing all the signals. Okay, your advantage is if you remember FDMA, we had to divide the signal. The frequencies had to be divided for each user. Each user had to be given different frequency to communicate. Okay, two users could not use the same frequency. Similarly, for TDMA, each user has to be given different time slot. Two users cannot use the same time slot. Okay, so in CDMA, what happens? Users can use the same time slot as well as the same frequency. They can communicate at the same time as well at the same frequency. Okay, so that's the advantage of CDMA. And on the receiver side, then we have decided that if you want to receive the data of A, you take the signal C. Okay, you take the signal C that was sent, and if you want the station A's data, you multiply it with the key of station A. Then you will get some value. If you get a positive value, you will say since it is greater than 0, the data that is transmitted is +1, okay, or binary 1, okay. And if you encode whatever signal was transmitted, and if you find a product with it and you get a negative value, then you will call it, you will say it is less than 0, and you would have said the data that is transmitted is 0. Okay, this is what we had discussed in class some time back. Okay, so this is how you would do the decoding at the receiver's end. So this is how basically your CDMA would work. So this is just to revise the basic working principle of CDMA. So anyone who wants to ask any question about this basic working principle of CDMA? Because today's discussion is not the CDMA, it's to do with more things later on. Okay, so anyone who has wants any query to be solved about the working of CDMA? It's been done with you in the first unit, all these techniques, CDMA, FDMA, TDMA. So any questions about this CDMA? Okay, if there are no questions, then let's proceed. Okay, so what I wanted to discuss with regards to CDMA is, if your memories have been refreshed about how CDMA works, is what we have said is CDMA is using different codes. Okay, we are using different codes for different users. Okay, and this is what allows the different users to enables them to access a shared medium. Remember, the air or whatever is the medium, the atmosphere is a shared medium. Okay, everyone can communicate through that. Okay, so this, since we are encoding the data of a particular user with a separate key, and each user gets a different key, it allows everyone to access a shared medium without interference. Okay, now the question is, when you are assigning keys to different station, how you decide whether that key or that code is a good code? Okay, so what is the criteria for deciding a good CDMA code? Like I told you, each station is having two parts. One is the data part and the code part. So if you are saying the code is very important in CDMA, then the question arises, how we decide what is a good code? So they came up with two measures to decide what is a good code. So they decide a code is good for CDMA if it is having a good autocorrelation and it should be orthogonal to other codes. Okay, it should be orthogonal to other codes. Just 1 minute, students, I'll just come. Okay, so I was just telling you all that a good code in CDMA should have two properties. It should be orthogonal and it should have good autocorrelation. Okay, so let's look at both of these properties, what they mean. Okay, orthogonal I mentioned about this briefly, I think, when I was teaching you. So again, if you all don't remember, then so when you are having a CDMA code, this code should be having these two properties. So orthogonal meaning, whenever you are finding the product, the vector product of the two codes between two stations, their product should be 0. Okay. So for example, you are having, say, these two vectors. Okay. You can multiply and check for yourselves also. So suppose these are the two codes given to two stations. Okay. So station A is given the code as 250, and say station B is given as 0017. So when you find the dot product of these two codes, okay, the dot product of these two codes is 0. Okay. So that is what is the meaning of orthogonal. Okay. That is the meaning of orthogonal. Okay. It's just for you to uh, identify what is the meaning of orthogonal. Okay. So here examples are given. It may these examples may not match the exact codes that we use in CDMA, but it's just for you to understand. Okay. What is the meaning of orthogonal? So whenever the product is coming to 0, then we say that the two vectors or the two codes are orthogonal. And if you find the product and it is not 0, then we will say it is not orthogonal. Okay. So that is the meaning of orthogonal. You can just read this here. And the second property that a good CDMA code should have is it should have a good auto correlation. What you mean by auto correlation is, suppose this is one CDMA code. Okay, this is suppose a CDMA code, and you find a dot product of this code with itself. Okay, then we say it has good auto correlation if the product, the answer of this value is a very large value. Okay, so when you find the product of this code with itself, the product, the result should be a large value. So for example, this code known as the Barker code, okay, the Barker code, when you find the dot product of this code with itself, you get the answer as 11. So such a code is said to have a good auto correlation. Okay, and this code has also been used in these two places, ISDN and IEEE 802.11. So I'm just giving you this example. Okay, for the meaning of good auto correlation. So basically, if someone asks you tomorrow, when you're selecting a code for CDMA, how you decide whether it's a good code, so that you can separate the signals from the noise or any other interference in the environment? And you must answer that a good code for CDMA will have at least these two properties. It will have good auto correlation. Okay, what is auto correlation? Meaning, when you find the product of that code with itself, the result will be a large value. Okay, for example, it is shown here in this example here. Okay, in this example here. And the second property that it should have is the codes must be orthogonal. That is, when you multiply the different codes, the product of it will come to, or the result of that dot product will be 0. Okay, so when it's having both these properties, that time we will say that the CDMA code is good. So any questions about this before I proceed? Okay. Then let's just revise this problem that also we are done in class. Okay. I don't know if all of you who are attending now were present, but this problem, similar problem I had done. I don't remember if it was the same one, but let's just revise this problem that we had done for CDME. Okay. Then again, with regards to this, I want to discuss some more things with you. Okay. So again, this problem will be solved in exactly the same way I discussed the diagram with you at the beginning of today's lecture. So first, you are given a data part and a key. So in the question, you have to find that. Okay. So here, if you read, just read this question, and you will identify the key and the data part. Okay. Then we need to start working on the sending this data stream according to the receiver, send it across to the receiver, and then at the receiver's end you need to get back the original data. So I'll just read the problem for you all. Two senders A and B want to send data. Okay. So CDMA has assigned the following orthogonal key sequences for sender A. So this is the key sequence for sender A, and there's a key sequence for sender B. Okay. So these are the codes that have been given for sender A and for sender B. Sender A wants to send this as the data bit. Okay. Sender A wants to send the data bit as 1. Sender B wants to send the data bit as 0. Okay. So remember when I discussed in class with you all, we had discussed that we will be assigning whenever we are sending a binary 0 across, we'll be replacing it with -1. So a binary 0 will be replaced as -1, and a binary 1 will be replaced as +1. Okay, that is what we will replace with and then start solving. Okay, so once you start replacing all these values, just replace 0 with -1 and 1 with +1. Okay, so you will get here, this is your value after replacing. So your AK will look like this. 0 has been replaced with -1. Okay, 1 has been replaced with +1, and so on. Okay, so first, like we had discussed in the diagram, station A data and the key, you have to find a dot product. So the data that station A is sending is 1. When you replace it with this, it will become +1. So you will find the dot product of +1 with the key of A. When you find the dot product of the data with the key, you will get this as the answer. Okay, call it as AS. Whatever you find the dot product of the data and key of station A, call that answer, the value of that as AS. Okay. Similarly, you will find the dot product of station B data with the code of station B. So you will find the dot product of data and the code of station B. Okay, so you will find it like this. Denote the answer that you get as BS. Okay, so once you have found these two answers, you need to transmit now. So you need to superimpose this answer AS and BS. So you will superimpose these signals as C. So you will find, you will add this both signals AS plus BS. When you add this, you will get the answer as this. Okay, so this is what will be transmitted now. Okay, I am note please students, I'm doing it a little fast because we have already done it in class. Okay, if anyone wants me to explain it a little bit in detail, you can let me know. Okay, so once this data has been sent across to the receiver, if the receiver now wants to decode the data of station A, okay, now this is a superimposed signal. From this signal, this does not represent individual stations, it is the sum of all the signals. Okay, it's a superimposed signal. So now you have to extract the individual data from this signal. Okay, so when you want to extract it, the receiver, what the receiver will do is, the receiver has all the station's keys with it. Okay, so when the receiver suppose wants to extract the data of station A, then we will apply the station A's key to this value, the superimposed signal. Okay, so that it will get the data of station A. So that is done like this. Okay, you take the value of the superimposed signal, that is C, and find a dot product with the key of station A. So when you find the dot product, you will get the final answer here as 6. Okay, then you will say that since 6 is greater than 0, you will say that station A has sent the bit 1. Okay, please remember what I'm saying. You will say, since this answer here received is 6, the answer here obtained is 6, you will say 6 is greater than 0, therefore it is 1. Okay, so you will say that receiver has received 1 from station A. Similarly, if you want to extract station B's data, okay, you will apply the superimposed signal to the station B's. You will find a dot product. CDMA. Okay. Now, when we were discussing this problem, okay, this problem we had first only decided like we didn't have any of the complexities involved. Okay. For example, we decided we took orthogonal codes. Okay. They were very simple codes that we took. These two codes that were taken for station A and station B were simple, and first only they were orthogonal. Okay. Similarly, we neglected any noise, possibility of noise was neglected. Okay. If noise was there, if noise was present, and any of these data bits had to change, any of these values had to change, okay, then we would have got different answers. Instead of -6 and +6, we could have got some values very close to 0. Then it would have been very difficult for us to decide whether that value is a 0 or a 1. Okay, so what I mean to say is, suppose I have to get this answer as 2 here. Say this answer was say -1. Okay, so then it would be more difficult for us to decide whether this 2 is greater than 0, okay, or because of noise it is greater than 0, whether this is a valid answer. Okay, whether I'm getting this answer 2 because of the actual signal, or I'm getting this 2 because of the noise. Okay, so I would be a little bit confused whether this 2 should be interpreted as +1 or whether it should be interpreted as 0. Why? Because this answer 2 is very close to the value 0. Okay, similarly the 6 also is close to 0 only. Okay, it's not very much greater than 0. Even if you get such answers, actually you can get little bit confused whether this number is coming, the result is coming because of noise. So is it noise or not noise? Because of noise are we getting such answers? Okay, so we had ignored all these possibilities, the possibility of noise. Okay, then we decided that when we are superimposing the signal, here we superimpose the signal of A and the signal of B, we superimposed and got signal C. So when you're superimposing the signals, we decided that the strength of both the signals are same. Okay, we received at a receiver with the same strength, but you know that some station could be closer than the other station to the receiver. Okay, so station A could be closer to the receiver, or station B could have been closer to the receiver. So the strength of the signal that reaches the receiver could have been different. Okay, but here in this problem we assume that the strength of the signals is the same. Okay. So the question arises, what would happen when I was sending this problem, when we were discussing this problem, okay, what would happen if station B's data or station B's signal was stronger than station A? What would happen? What do you all think would happen if station B's data or station B's signal was stronger than station A's signal? Okay, as you all think about it, can you all tell me if you all are having any doubts? Any doubts about anything? Is it going a bit fast? Is the speed okay? Is it going a bit fast? Siley, is the speed fast?
No, sir. So it's a revision. It's fine.
Okay. What about the others? Okay. Since it's a revision, I'm going a bit fast, but you can always let me know. Okay. So let's just go through this part then about the last important thing that we need to know with regards to CDMA. Okay. So when we are sending, till now we never discussed if one of these two senders, the signal was stronger than the other signals. Okay. So let's assume that one station signal is stronger. So let's assume that B signal is stronger. Okay. So when B signal is stronger, the first part of the problem, nothing will change. Okay, when you do this encoding, this part will remain the same. You will get AS and you will get BS. Okay, now when you are superimposing, what we are assuming? We are assuming that B signal is stronger. Okay, let's assume that it is 5 times stronger than A, meaning B is more closer to the receiver than A. That's why the signal is stronger. Okay, so that is what it means. Let's assume that B is at least 5 times more stronger than A. That is, so we are assuming that. Okay, so what we are doing is we are making the signal of B 5 times stronger here. Okay, so nothing changes. Instead of having that all the values in ones, we are having, since it's 5 times stronger, that signal of B that we had obtained here multiplied by 5. This thing will be multiplied by 5, so you will get this as the answer. Okay, so this is B signal now, this is A signal, so this is your now new superimposed signal. Okay, understood? Now again, if the receiver wants to decode the B's data, we'll multiply this new superimposed signal C dash with the code of B. So when you multiply that with the code of B, you'll get some answer here. Say it is minus 30. Okay, now minus 30 is a very huge value. Okay, you're very far away from 0, so you can easily detect that this is a binary 0. Okay, when you want to decode the A's data, again you will take C dash, multiply with the key of A, and you'll get some answer. Okay, that answer says 6. Now when you look at the absolute value, okay, when I say look at the absolute value, that is, you look at this, don't look at a negative sign in this answer. You look at 30 and you look at, compare it with 6. Okay, so when you compare 30 and 6 to 0, okay, 30 and 6 when you compare to 0, suppose now you are looking at this part, only this as 30 and only this part 6, and you're comparing it to 0. Okay, so you know that this 30 is quite far away from the 0, so you can deduce from that 30 can be a binary 1 or a 0 by applying that sign that is obtained. Okay, but this 6 is quite close to 0, so it's not so easy to interpret it. Okay, so 6 is not so easy to interpret. Okay, because it is quite close to 0, and this value 6 could be interpreted also as noise. What I'm trying to tell you is, in CDMA, the larger the values you get, okay, the more better it is. Okay, I'm explaining you this problem, okay, when you're getting the answers very close to 0, like for example you're getting 6, it could be interpreted as noise. Okay, it may not be always interpreted as +1. Okay, so what I want to say in other words is, in CDMA you need to use some kind of power control. Okay, while transmitting the data, you need to have some kind of power applied to the systems to send a signal. Okay, you have to amplify the signals in a certain manner sometimes, so that the data is sent properly and received properly. Okay, but if you don't do that and you just transmit it without amplifying, without strengthening the signal, then the signal received may be interpreted as noise. Okay, so that's why in CDMA you have to use a lot of energy to transmit the data. So this is one of the disadvantages of CDMA systems. Okay, so you may have to apply energy to certain stations if they are far away. Getting it? If they are not close to the receiver. So otherwise, the signals that are transmitted may be interpreted as noise. So this is what I wanted to tell you about CDMA today. Yes, yeah, it could be one of the reasons, and also your mobile is always trying to connect to the network. You know, constantly trying to search a network connection. Okay, so that also could be one of the reasons, wherein it keeps trying to connect, trying to detect. They keep sending. They always try to maintain a connection. So yeah, students, any doubts about today what we have done? Any of you? So basically, I'll be sharing this document with all of you. Okay, so as soon as this lecture is over, as soon as the video gets saved on the Google Drive, I'll be stopping the uploading the video on YouTube. And I'll be sharing this Word document along with the recording. Okay, so I think I'll stop the recording so that the video size is small.